Hey guys, welcome to the Rob Rock Show. And as you can probably notice, this evening's broadcast does not have our rather energetic and happy theme song, and there's a reason for that. Now, listen, I want to start out by saying I hope all of you had a great holiday. Mine was a little tough. On December 23rd, in the evening, my pet cockatiel unexpectedly passed away. Thankfully, Cinnamon did not suffer, and she only had about 20 minutes of discomfort, and then she passed away. You know, it's unusual most of the time with a pet bird. It's typical for an owner to find the bird deceased in the bottom of their cage, never having known that anything was wrong, especially in the case of a sudden death, like this one. In this particular case, I was literally caring for her as she passed away, and I administered CPR for 30 minutes, unfortunately, to no avail. So tonight's show is a little bit of a somber show, but I'm doing it for a reason. And the reason is pet bereavement. You know, I told you when I rebranded this channel and changed the format that we were going to do a number of different things. Did I expect this to be one of the initial subjects that we covered? No. And it's unfortunate that I did. The last pet that I lost was a 14-and-a-half-year-old black lab by the name of Knight, and he passed away on June the 29th of 2019. I hadn't gone through that for a very long time, and it was very painful. And frankly, I've been through the loss of a number of pets, including a horse, including dogs and cats and rabbits, and now a bird. I don't think any of them are less painful than the other. What I can tell you is that what happened on December the 23rd was quite distressing and unexpected. And just for a little background, Cinnamon was 13. It was a female, and we really got her by happenstance. I initially bought a bird for my 8-year-old goddaughter at the time, back in 2009. And she happily named the bird Sweet Treat. It was another female bird. And we got her from a really nice avian store in Charleston, South Carolina. About 2 weeks into her ownership, and she was just such a happy little girl, I was on my way to work, and I got a frantic phone call in the car. And it was my girlfriend, and I could hear my godchild, crying in the background, and my girlfriend was crying, and they were frantic. And I asked what was wrong, and they told me that there was something wrong with the bird. And very, very shortly thereafter, within minutes, her new bird passed away. Now, you can imagine how traumatic and hurtful that would be, especially for a little girl. And the folks at the avian store were kind enough and stood behind the health of the pet and replaced the bird. And that was Cinnamon. So think of all the cockatiels out there that are potential pets, and think about just simply the luck of the draw. And in a completely random circumstance, another bird gave her life so that we had Cinnamon. So call it luck or call it fate or what you will, but that's how we ended up with that bird. Cinnamon was a very healthy bird. A couple of years ago, she had gotten a bacterial infection, and she did almost die. I took her to the vet, and I got very, very close with her at that time, because you're supposed to keep a tropical bird or an exotic bird in temperatures of 85 and above. So the vet administered antibiotic. I was giving oral antibiotics, and I literally was trying to figure out, how am I going to keep this bird at this temperature? As if it's not hot enough in Charleston, because it's just hot as can be. But how can I keep her on the interior of the house where she lives warm like that? And essentially what I did was I put her in my armpit in bed, and she slept with me for 2 weeks. And I was up with her every 2 hours, literally 24 hours a day for 2 weeks, and it saved her, and she lived. In this particular case, I had been treating her for a bacterial infection because she had some upset stomach and seemed absolutely fine. She was fine the day before, and my girlfriend had called me at about 8 o'clock in the evening, called me upstairs and said that the bird was having a little bit of stress. She was kind of hacking, and this went on for about 20 minutes. I had inverted her and was lightly patting her on the back, and she was expelling fluid and food and so forth. She didn't seem to have an air blockage, but she was, when birds that small lose very much fluid, whether it be blood or water fluid, bile or what have you, they become dehydrated very quickly. And in any case, she had settled down, she had quieted down. I sat her down, I said, she looks very weak, and she got up and she turned in a couple of circles and rolled over on her back, and that's when she expired, and that's when I started CPR. So in fact, it was very sudden and unexpected. To be honest with you right now, without a necropsy, I just really don't know why she died. Again, she was 13, could have been 13 and a half. I'm not exactly positive how old she was when we got her. Typically, they're about 12 weeks when they're turned over to a new owner. But she could have been older than that. In any case, it was between 13 and 14 years old. In all honesty, I feel like I failed. Nobody thinks that I did, but I feel like I failed because she didn't live longer. And sometimes I think it's just the luck of the draw. Some people were fortunate enough to have a cockatiel for 30 years. I've heard from a number of people. And then I heard from people whose cockatiels died younger. I do know the average age expectancy of a cockatiel is 10 to 14 years. So she certainly fell within that median, but it was just very, very sad and a very inopportune time. So that is the background on Cinnamon. And I have been thinking, for the last few days about a couple of things. And I wanted to give recognition. I'm involved in a group on Facebook called Dogaholics, and it's just all about dogs. Everybody posts pictures of their dogs. People whose unfortunately their pets pass away, they post there. It's just a very pet-friendly group. And I have to tell you, I heard from right at about 1,000 kind people who don't know me, have no idea who I am. Maybe they know who I am, but they don't know me. And those people, those 1,000 people, all expressed their sympathy over that little bird. And I just felt it incredibly heartwarming. And I cannot thank those folks enough. And I tried, and I think that I did thank every single one of them with a reply of some kind. So it just goes to show you that people can be good. And pet owners are, I think, a little bit of a different breed of people. Not only do I care about my pets, but I care about yours. So that's kind of the background. I don't want to drone on and on. It was a sad day. I'm trying to move forward. But the crux of the reason for this video, more than anything else, and it's a tribute to Cinnamon, is I was trying to think. I had looked. Our pet, or our black lab, Knight, we'd actually taken to a funeral home that we know, and we know the owner, and we had Knight cremated and put in a very nice urn, and we have him downstairs in our living room. And it's not I always told people I wanted a happy urn, and it's got his picture on the front and is really nice. And I talked to my girlfriend about Cinnamon, and I said, what shall we do with her? And I looked at a couple of different things. I considered cremation, and then I looked and I realized it was no less, it was $350 for a little tiny bird to have her cremated, and that didn't include an urn. So you'd probably be looking about $500 to have her cremated privately and an urn. Did we have the money for that? Absolutely. But a lot of people don't. And after I thought about it, and after we spoke about it a little bit further, we decided that we were going to put her out. We have a really pretty private perennial garden out back. And we decided that we were going to put her out back in that perennial garden where there's hummingbirds and bees and butterflies and beautiful flowers. And because she is a bird, we felt that it would be more appropriate if she had that freedom to be outside. Now it is steps away from our back door, and I can look right down out of this office, down right where she is. So it's comforting to me. So I took those things into consideration. But what I think I can do as a result of all the support that I got is I want to help, hopefully, one of you under a bad circumstance. Not only for me, but when, I said that every day I see people's pets that have passed away. And December the 23rd happened to be our day. And it happens. And it's extremely sad. But I was trying to figure out as I was kind of sleepless for the last few nights. And that's getting a little bit better. But as I was kind of sleepless, I thought, how could I help other people in a similar situation? And I figured out a way, a personal way. And it had to do with laying your pet to rest and how I was going to go about it. And I wanted to do it in a personal way. I just didn't want to dig a hole in the ground and put cinnamon in a hole and cover it up. Is there anything wrong with that inherently? No, but I wanted to do something nicer. I wanted to lay her to rest in a fashion that made me comfortable and showed her respect and dignity. And I think that I succeeded in that. I want to try to help you do the same. So essentially what I did was this. Here was my process. And you'll see pictures as I move through that will be displayed for you so you can see. So I decided, I went to Lowe's and I went to the plumbing section and I found a PVC, heavy PVC kind of drainage tee in the plumbing section, which I'll show you in the illustration. And then I found caps. There were 3 openings, top and 2 sides, and I found caps for all of those. And in addition to those caps, I bought a PVC cement. So I thought when I was ready to lay Cinnamon to rest, I would be able to do this in her own personalized, very safe, secure, commercial grade PVC pet vault is what I called it. The top and one side are sealed with the PVC cement. In my particular case, although the caps fit very, very tightly, one is not cemented, just in case I wanted to take it off for any reason. And I have marked it. In addition to that, what I did was I purchased what is a commercial grade irrigation control cover. This was a 10-inch irrigation control cover, and you'll see a green cap that unscrews on top. And it almost looks like an upside down bucket, if you will. So what I had planned to do was in the garden, was to dig the hole out that you see, this circular hole. Dug that out, level in the bottom. Then what I did was I lined it with lawn fabric. I lined it with 2 layers in the very bottom, and then to layer up the sides around the hole, I used 2 large pieces. So I let them overlap the hole. And so essentially there are 4 layers at the bottom and layers along the side. So the hole is basically covered in lawn fabric. Then what I did was I dropped in the irrigation cover, and then I filled in around with soil to make that secure. And essentially what I did is I created a little pet mausoleum that is just below the ground, that's probably 12 to 13 inches deep, again with the commercial grade irrigation control cover and a lid that unscrews. So what you have is you have a secure, not watertight, but I doubt that much water, or maybe any water, will really get in there in accordance with where it is. It will be weed free. It's clean because of the lawn fabric and so forth, and I can clean it out as needed. Then what I did was I got probably about a 2 to 2.5 inch thick paver stone and put it in the enclosure on the ground to keep the pet vault directly off the ground. At that time, I was able to. I had kept Cinnamon. We said our goodbyes, which was quite sad. I was able to wrap her very snugly, very nicely, in a little snowman towel with a little rose that we had grown, and I had kind of dried out back. It was a small, pretty little rose that I put in with her, and I basically swaddled her so that you could just see the top of her head and her beautiful face. I then had a Ziploc plastic that I put her swaddle in, depressed all of the air out to make it as airtight as possible, rolled it nice and snugly, and then I was able to insert her remains into her personalized, very secure and airtight pet vault, which is made out of the PVC, as I indicated. At the end, I capped that third end, and as you will see, the end result is a very, very clean, very secure, personalized, as good as it can be, as sad as it is, but it made me feel better. And the reason that I wanted to share that whole process with you folks, and thanks for bearing with me, is the fact that if you were faced with a situation with a small pet, maybe a lizard, maybe a bird, a hamster, any small pet like that, this particular technique would work. In addition to the fact that I can tell you that it was very cost effective. And based on the results that I had, and this, we're going to also, may even make it, but we're going to put a memorial stone there on top. My girlfriend said she may want to go and make that herself and have it kilned. I believe that's a word, kilned, put it in a kiln and make that herself. We haven't decided on yet, but that was her thought process that we discussed today. So she will have a memorial stone to mark her resting place, which I'm sure will be beautiful. In any case, as a result of personalizing her own vault and her own kind of pet mausoleum, the irrigation control cover was about $11, and the PVC was probably, because I don't have the receipt here with me, I think it was about about $30 for that. So for about $50, I'm as happy as I can possibly be with the results of what I really took a lot of time to consider and think about how I wanted to put her in her final resting place. And the beauty of it is, more than anything else, folks, and the reason that I did it, I told my girlfriend, I said, if anything ever happened to me, please, please don't leave her. I want you to take her with you. And God forbid that anything happens. But the point of the matter is, and this works for you, you never know. If we moved out of this house, that pet, Cinnamon, is completely portable. Completely portable. It's literally a matter of lifting the lid, unscrewing and lifting the lid, and taking her beautiful little self and her little burial vault out and taking it wherever. No stress whatsoever. So that portability does present a lot of peace of mind for me, as well as the fact that she is where she is, and she's close, and she's free. And she'll, when spring comes around, that garden will be plush and beautiful, and she'll be right there. So, in any case, I appreciate all of you being with me. I hope that information helped you. I'll make sure that the pictures are edited in so that you can see that. I was kind of winging it. I didn't write it down. I just kind of winged it as I remembered how I went through the process. It's been a tough holiday, but in any case, I am thankful. I am blessed that that little beautiful soul didn't suffer, and that we were right there with her. And for you and your pets, I hope that you and they live a long, prosperous life. But if anything does happen, I hope the information that I provided to you is helpful. And please reach out if you ever need support with respect to the death of a pet. Please reach out. I'll talk to anyone that goes through that, because I know how difficult that is. Typically this is a very upbeat channel. We talk about business, and we're gonna, we've got a exciting theme song and all that kind of thing. But every once in a while, you have to back up and deal with what is sometimes reality. And unfortunately, the reality was that I lost a beautiful, beautiful little soul, who, by the way, I have to tell you, a few months ago, because this bird loved to sleep with me, and it's really not advised because they're afraid people are going to roll over on the bird, but every night it was a ritual. The bird, her life was she lived on top of her cage. She was rarely in her cage. She was on top of her cage, and she would perch, and she got to watch a beautiful lake with geese and ducks and sea ducks and people walking their dogs and nature, and just a beautiful view, right? But a few months ago, I decided, this bird wants to be with me so much, I'm just going to put her in bed with me. So every night the ritual was, I would get my pillows ready, and I would put a blanket over the headboard, and I would bring her up on the bed and put her under the blanket, and she would run to pull down the blanket with her beak or try to pull it down, and I would cover her up, and she was just the most comfortable, happy, content little bird being right there. So I'm a really lucky person having the opportunity to be able to do that with that beautiful little bird. And I hope you have the same type of experience with your pets as well. In any case, I thank you so much for being with me today. I appreciate you watching every minute of this video, and I hope that it helped you financially with putting your pet to rest, and also just with the personalized support. In any case, thank you so much. I'm Rob Rock for The Rob Rock Show, and we'll talk next time. Take care.
Hi, pretty girl. Say hi to Daria. Hi. Good girl. Cinnamon's a pretty girl. Hi, Cinnamon. Hi, pretty girl.